Speech Pitch by Iska Sak.
Hi there and welcome to Speech Pitch by Iska Sak. I'm Pascal and today I have with me Denise Dipersio from the Linguistic Data Consortium here at Interspeech. Welcome to the show, and it would be great to have some sentences about you, what you're doing and what's going on here at Interspeech for you.
Well, thank you, Pascal. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure for us to be at Interspeech. I'm from the Linguistic Data Consortium. We're a nonprofit data center at the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. I think many in the community know about us. We develop and distribute language resources, and some of the classic speech data sets used in speech technology development, ASR and so on, like Timid and Switchboard and Fisher, are ones that we have either developed, distributed, whatever, but are available from our catalog. So we love to be here and be with the community. I'm in our external relations group that covers membership and publications and contracts, licensing, and so on, which is why we're exhibiting here, but also with our colleagues here who have papers and so on. So it's a nice experience.
Cool, yeah, and it's super cool to have you over. I mean, the Linguistic Data Consortium is, I know it at least pretty well because we worked with the corpora before, and it's cool to have this set up as a non-profit, right, that you're doing. Quite nice, especially seeing also multiple data collection companies now pop up at Interspeech. So it's some different distribution model, right? Yeah.
It definitely is, and one of the major differences, which now LDC's been around 30 years, which seems ancient now, but the idea was that data should be broadly available, but at the same time it should be preserved. Now, data preservation is something we all know about now and think a lot about now, but LDC's always done that. So that's why Timid and all of these other data sets are still in great shape as they were deposited originally and can still be used and are still used every day. So I think that it's great. In some ways, there are many now platforms for data sharing. There are many other ways that data is being created. But I think that LDC is still unique in having this growing repository of curated, preserved data.
Absolutely, and data creation is quite a pain, as we all know, right?
That's true.
It's not to be underestimated as an effort, right? So
yes, that's true. Definitely.
And so, like you mentioned, the data sets that people usually work with, and now I would be curious, is there some more recent developments going on? Like, are there some further data sets coming out on a regular basis, or how does it work in general?
Yes, we release new data sets every month. So we've been doing, I would say, in the last few years, catching up on some of the speech recognition evaluation data sets, and then their underlying source collections, which have been the Mixer collections. So we have Mixer 6, which is English speech. When it's distributed over 14 channels, it's like 10,000 hours. Then we have Mixer 7. English is coming out this year in Spanish. So yes, we're catching up with those. And then we're also releasing from more recent projects. We've got some different things. Some of our non-speech collections, or actually multimodal projects. So it's audio, video, text, image, from projects that actually require more complex annotation. So you're trying to get at things like sentiment, but also just more complex interactions in the data. So it's really more difficult annotation than some of the previous work that we've done.
Yeah, cool. Getting more complex and still having a rich output. That's good to hear.
Yes, it's a challenge sometimes, but yes. And we also depend on donations. So we still continue to have many corpora donated from the community. So of the over 950 corpora in the catalog, close to half are donated. So that's really great. And we're happy to continue to be a resource for researchers to deposit their data with us.
Yeah, like that. That's an interesting aspect. So you're, I guess, always actively looking for donators, right? So how is the process? I mean, I just working with a corpora at an industry affiliation. I remember that you had to pay a fee intrinsically if you have to use the specific corpus. Is that right? Or license fee?
Yes. Well, that's in terms of users. Yes. I mean, yes, correct. We're a membership-based organization. It's a consortium, so the founding principle was that the people who benefit from it should support it. And after the initial grant ran out in the 90s, we had to be self-supporting. So, and LDC really has these two parts: the research part, which gets sponsor funding from private and public agencies. And then our group, the catalog, is sustained by membership fees and data license fees. So you can join as a member, and that gives you certain rights to license data, or you can license data as a non-member, and there's usually a fee associated with that. And all of those fees go back into supporting the catalog and all of these curation, distribution efforts, the human effort that's involved as well, data storage, and so on. Yeah, so there is basically that there has to be some way to compensate for those activities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that, as you said, it makes absolute sense. Also, especially like in my case, we were using it on a commercial basis. Then, of course, you make up for the price by hopefully having a product that plays in the money again. How is it for the research community? Is it?
Well, the research community, the fees are lower, and the licensing differs for not-for-profit organizations. Obviously, all the research uses are allowed, and I think that people find it very helpful. What we're seeing now, a lot of, and it makes perfect sense in some ways, especially among universities, is that the library joins the consortium. So in that way, I mean, it's always been LDC's position that even if a particular department licenses a corpus, it could be available to anyone within the university, but we know that, practically speaking, that's not always possible.
Yeah.
So we have many university libraries that are members now, and it feels like it's a much more efficient way to get LDC data out to everyone, since, as you know, the field is expanding beyond computer science and linguistics specifically into social sciences and other applications.
Yeah. No, absolutely makes sense. So then, like, your representation here at Interspeech, you said it's usually twofold for the LDC. Like, you're up in the exhibitors area and presenting, I guess, what you do to all the people who are attending Interspeech, but you're also having a research track where you're outputting research that you're doing yourselves on the data sets, I guess? Yeah?
Yes, that's correct. And through the years, and these many years that we've been exhibiting, just as many years our researchers have been writing and presenting papers here. This year, we have already had a couple presentations on work on autism related to speech issues. And tomorrow's special session, which would be Wednesday, on challenges in data collection and curation. Our director, Mark Lieberman, is one of the co-organizers of that special session. And what's interesting is that it is about you were talking about just how hard it is to do speech collection, and that's really what this session addresses, collection and corpus development and so on. And my understanding was when this was just broached as a special challenge, no one really knew how many papers there would be, and there were many, many papers, so that the session is actually in two parts tomorrow. There's a morning session and an afternoon session.
Oh, nice.
And then we're also presenting on Thursday work that we've done in the NIST Speech Recognition Evaluation 2024, a TELVID corpus, which is a multimodal corpus of telephone speech as well as video speech. So that will be presented on Thursday.
So there's lots of research output as well on the corpora that are then being added or like researched on actively, and also then, as you said, like bringing the consortium to everyone. You mentioned like you're going to Interspeech since a long, long time. Do you have some impression on how it's particularly different this year, how it develops in general, Interspeech itself over the years?
I think Interspeech has always been a conference that we enjoy coming to because it's a very engaged and vibrant community, and we have great interactions when we're here. It's interesting how things have evolved over the years because we've been going long enough to know that venues were smaller, exhibit areas were smaller. So I'd say the biggest growth is now the growth that we see, for example, here and Dublin, for instance, where you're in the major convention center and multiple floors and, lots of exhibitors. But I feel that the organizers and local organizers and ISCA and so on have really risen to the challenge to understand, at least for instance, from an exhibitor's viewpoint, we want to be able to meet people. So we want to be in an area where people are going to come, and they're always sensitive to that. So even though we're here in Rotterdam, we're on the third floor, we're just seeing a lot of people, which is great.
Yeah, true. That's organizational challenge itself to ensure that also the exhibitors are getting enough exposure. When was the first Interspeech that you
The first Interspeech that I attended, I think, was in Brighton in 2009.
Oh, yeah. That goes way back.
And,
nice.
and that's and I don't know. And in fact, I think ICASP went there several years later. It was still the same, what we would now consider now older building, comparatively speaking. And I remember we were in this like hall, and there was like one row of exhibitors, or maybe 5 or 6 of us. It was quite different than we see now. Although it was beginning, in 2009, beginning to see the big tech companies coming in and having very engaging exhibits and, recruiting and so on. Yeah, so it's evolved. Each Interspeech is different, but I see a big difference between then and now.
I can imagine. Yeah. It's very, very cool to get this impression. Like it's really cool how it turns out and how it's still evolving. Then, thanks so much, Denise, for taking your time and talking in a very. I guess there's many more things to talk about, but just to give a small spotlight to the LDC and what you're doing here at Interspeech regularly. So for people coming next year, it's also good to check you out, of course, and check out the corpora as most of you will know anyway.
Please come to our catalog, take a look at what we have, talk to us. But thank you, Pascal. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for tuning in to this bonus episode. We might be interviewing your favorite speech researchers in the future, so be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to your podcasts. You can also follow ISCA-SAC on X and LinkedIn to stay updated. Until then, have fun.
Speech pitch by ISCA-SAC.